Good evening, everyone. My name is Reed Heddick. I am a pastor of Mosaic Church of Aurora and chairman of the Aurora Community of Faith. And we are here this evening to have a conversation about Dr. King's dream, and especially how the faith community fits into that and what we should be doing to make sure that the dream is realized. And so I'm here this evening with some of my friends that are a part of the Aurora Community of Faith. It's a sort of a loose-knit network of faith organizations in the city of Aurora. And we're really pleased to be here to have this conversation and hopefully engage the community more in becoming more the kind of people that are advance the dream that Dr. King had and that all of us have. So let me introduce you to my friends that are here with me this evening. Let's start first of all. Tim, introduce yourself, would you please?
Okay, sure. I'm Tim Gramling. I'm the president of Colorado Technical University's Colorado campuses. And Colorado Tech has been around here in the state of Colorado since 1965. Our mission from the beginning was career-focused, and over the years we've grown to now a regionally accredited university serving 20,000 students nationwide, a couple thousand here in the state of Colorado at our ground campuses in Aurora and in Colorado Springs, with associates through doctorate degrees, predominantly in business, computer science, criminal justice, and information technology programs.
That's great. Now, I understand you also have some pastoral credentials.
Yes, I do. Yes, I pastored a church in South Florida called the Point of Grace Christian Fellowship for 5.5 years, and I serve as an associate minister at the Paradise Missionary Baptist Church.
Great, great. Ron?
I am Dr. Ron Frierson from Heart for the World Christian Center. I pastor there, native of the state or the metro area. And our church, we believe the name reveals the nature, Heart for the World.
Thanks, Ron. Miriam.
I'm Miriam Rosa, founding pastor of the City of Refuge Restoration Church and founder of the Healing Connection International, and an organization, nonprofit organization dealing with adult males in addictions and their families.
That's great. And Donald.
Yes, I'm Donald Smith Jr., and I am one of the youth pastors at Emmanuel Christian Center, working with the middle schoolers.
Great. Thanks, guys. And we're here this evening sort of as friends, and so I'm not going to address you with your titles, so we're Ron and Tim and Miriam and Donald and Reed just having this conversation here this evening. So let's first of all start. I want to direct this towards you, Ron. Why is the faith community important in this conversation about Dr. King's dream? What role do we play, and why is it important for us?
You know, I think that so many times people forget when they think about Dr. King. You know, they look at him as being one of the founders of the civil rights movement, but they forget that he was first a man of God.
That's right.
That he was first a preacher. And as I pondered and through the years I've looked at that, when he was introduced in Washington, they said that he was the moral father of the country. Yeah. And so that spoke so clearly that the foundation of that movement, and really anything else, needs to be in God. And so we need to lead the way to help people come together.
Great, great. And I think that is right on target. Sometimes the faith community is not up front, is sort of lagging behind a little bit, and we should be up front. So let me ask this question. We'll start with Donald over here. So what is your church, your organization, the group that you lead, what is it actually doing to both focus on the dream and not just think about it, but to actually advance the dream of Dr. King?
Well, I think at times, maybe not as much as we should, but I know just in my little sector, it's kind of just encouraging everyone to just be focused on what he would like them to do, and that's not focus on skin color, but also, on skin color, but what it is that the person does. You know, why is it that you like them? And I try and do that with my own life because the friends that I have are based off of the fact that we all grew up as Christians together and from high school on, and we've all stayed close since. So hopefully just pushing that onto them and just kind of getting them to do whatever they can to judge people based on what they do and not what they look like or how rich they are or things like that, just on what's important.
Okay, good. Miriam, so tell us about your church and what you guys are doing.
I'm Latina, Puerto Riqueña, from the South Bronx back east.
Great.
And one of the things that we are as a church is that we are bilingual, hopefully growing to be multilingual. But we are, that's part of our focus, to be a multicultural church. And so we have services in English and in Spanish. And then we have a cultural connections type of institute that we're just starting out, which deals with learning Spanish as a second language and English as a second language. And rather than just doing it, each of them in a vacuum, we're doing them together, where both those that want to speak Spanish and want to speak English will be together, so that it'll be about culture as well as just, not just the language aspects of it, because the culture, understanding the culture will impact how you understand the language.
Right. Great. Now, Tim, your organization is a bit different, but what do you guys do to really sort of focus and advance the dream?
Well, certainly Dr. King's legacy is in part about education.
It is.
And part of what CTU has determined to do is to provide scholarships so that folks can gain that education. So in particular, there's two that I'm very proud of. First is we have a Jumpstart Scholarship, which we are very pleased to be awarding with the City of Aurora's MLK celebration.
Good.
It's a $3,000 scholarship to help a recent high school graduate make that transition into Colorado Technical University, which can be tricky when you're just finishing high school. The other thing is every year we give out a number of Wounded Warrior Scholarships. These are full tuition scholarships to Colorado Tech for wounded soldiers, veterans, and spouses. We've given out $5 million worth of these scholarships so far, which we believe is an important aspect of recognizing our soldiers and the work they have done as well, and helping them make that transition to become educated.
Great, great. Ron?
You know, as I said earlier, I believe that the name reveals the nature, and the name of our church is Heart for the World Christian Center. We believe that our church not only should reach out to every ethnos, but every ethnos is welcome in our church. And so we find that there's a diversity in the ethnicity of our church. And early on, I was amazed that we had so many interracial couples that were coming. And it was, I believe, through prayer. But then in everything that we do lots of outreaches and things of that nature. We're reaching not to a particular segment, but to a multiplicity of people. And so we're drawing all of those people and trying to empower them to come together under Christ and operate in the love one to another.
So, great. And all of you, and I know you guys well enough to know that you are actively doing things, not just talking about, you know, some of the aspects of Dr. King's dream, but really living that out, and I appreciate that. That's great. So if we're all doing our best and we're all thinking it through, we're all kind of pushing some of the same things, why is Dr. King's dream not yet realized? Why is it moving so slow? Because and again, correct me if you think I'm saying this wrong, but I think all of us would believe that some progress has been made. In the 50 years since Dr. King was doing things, that we've made some progress, but not enough. And so why is it that it's taking so long? Why are things moving so slowly in both sort of faith community and just society at large? Who wants to tackle that first? Miriam?
The first word that came to my mind was complacency, basically complacency, just that. It's like, it seems like the heat is off somewhat. And so everyone is going on about their business, and it's not even about color, black, white, or brown, or yellow, or red anymore. It's about green, which is the money aspect. And so we've gotten complacent in kind of every man for themselves.
Okay.
You know, I think also, you know, when you look at it, you know, there's a sense in some levels of society of entitlement, rather than wanting to continue to work and to strive to overcome or to accomplish some things. And Dr. King in his speech said that he came to cash a check. Well, that check has been cashed, but it wasn't payment in full. It was an installment payment. And so there's still work to do. And we still have to inspire people to go back to what it really took, and that's being willing to put the work in, being willing to continue to strive, be willing to continue to lift our aspirations for what's ahead of us.
And I think all of us have the tendency to want something fast and quick and easy and cheap. And I think sometimes we forget what it cost Dr. King and some of those early workers in the movement. And many of us, I guess I won't accuse the rest of you, but many of us are sometimes unwilling to do that hard work.
Without question.
Good.
Yeah, I'd
Tim?
like to pick up on that. When it comes to work, part of the thing that I'm very proud of is our university's affiliation with junior achievement. Part of what Dr. King talked about was a legacy, not just what we do in our lifetimes, but what we teach our children to do.
Perfect.
Our university's done a great deal with junior achievement, and I happen to sit on the board of directors for junior achievement of Southern Colorado. I think it's very important to be part of that educational experience, starting as low as elementary school and all the way up through high school, teaching young people things like the importance of getting engaged in business, teaching young people the importance of relationships, interculturalism. These, I think, are all important aspects of what we have to do to continue that legacy beyond our lifetimes.
Good.
And to piggyback on that, just working with them, you just want to make sure that they keep a focus on it. Just making sure that they try and go out of their comfort zone and be friends with other people and not kind of exclude them because of things and things that they have to deal with as far as like the music they listen to, the shows that they watch. Sometimes it does a great job of dividing them just by themselves. So, you know, you got to try and find a way to bring some more similarities to the table because there's already enough differences out there for them to be segregated. So just trying to get more and more involvement in with the retreats that we have, with the Sundays that we spend together, just try and get more kids in of different nationalities so that they get a chance to interact with each other and just realize that the God that we serve is a God of all colors.
Good. A couple things you said there, Donald, I just want to sort of pick up on. And I guess you mentioned it as well, Tim, the idea of young people. You know, I think it's so important that we get young people engaged in this process. Sometimes it seems like it is Dr. King's legacy is being talked about mostly by, you know, middle-aged and older people. And something is being lost with our teens and 20s and young people. And so I think we need to engage them. The other thing that you said that I think is fascinating is that I think the dream is advanced individually almost kind of like one-on-one relationships. And I think sometimes we've done ourselves a disservice by looking for the next Dr. King, the next guy that's going to come and electrify the masses and millions of people are going to march and something is going to happen that's dramatic, when sometimes more good is done one-on-one with individuals and relationships and getting to know each other. I know that my life has been advanced by getting to know you guys and others that have different backgrounds than I do, that there's real power in getting to know people and individuals, that it's not just a problem out there, but it's us, and it's our friends. So let's talk a little bit more about how churches and organizations should be leading that effort, and what can we do to kind of push things forward a little bit faster, a little bit better. Ron, do you want to address that?
You know, I think that we first have to make up in our mind that intentionally we're going to get outside the four walls.
Okay.
And we're going to begin to reach to people that are not like us. And, you know, love them. No matter where they've come from, love them, because we all have something to overcome. And, you know, get into various diversities, you know, get into the schools or get into the businesses or various places in the community and just continue to inspire people to come together.
Okay. Tim?
Yeah, I think the university environment can play a role there too.
Sure.
Universities generally, and CTU of course in particular, are very good at creating connections with people who would not ordinarily connect with one another. There's a need to get through a curriculum. There's a need therefore to meet with folks, whether or not they look like you, whether or not they come from your same background,
right,
and find ways to work together to succeed. I think that's one of the areas we've been able to be successful in here in the state, with about 71,000 alumni here and across the nation that have gone through that experience, and it's important for us to continue that so we have even more folks who have had that experience in their lifetimes.
And it seems to me that schools, universities have done a relatively good job of bringing people together, like you said, almost in a forced environment. The other organization does that pretty well is military. I mean, when you're fighting together, working together, you are together. But churches don't do that as well as schools and military, and that bothers me somewhat. So, Miriam, let me put you on the spot. Why is it that churches, places of faith, are lagging behind and not doing as good a job as some of these other things and really integrating and bringing people of different backgrounds together on an equal basis?
Unfortunately, in the name of God, in the name of Jesus, the tendency is to insist that the way that we see things is the only way. And so we close our minds to not deviating from the word, but we close our minds to interacting with people, thinking that we have the stranglehold on God and how God is going to do things. So we kind of displace the Lord and the Lord's love and the Lord's compassion and the Lord's grace and mercy that has been extended to us. We kind of hoard it and say, well, it's for us, and if you don't believe like we do. And so, and of course, there are a lot of political issues behind some of those things as well. Religion has always been used as a forum to control people, so there's a lot of factors involved in that.
Yeah. Donald, do you want to weigh in on that?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think the one thing that was not touched on that has already been said is with the schools and with our jobs, things like that, you have to go. You got to go to work.
Right.
You need to go to a school. You don't have to, but you need to go to a school and get educated and things like that. Those individuals are already there because of the fact that you have to, or you need to go to a place to accomplish a need. With the church, it's just a want. And the thing about it is we don't encourage everyone to want to do it. I mean, you want to go to work because you want a paycheck. Well, you want to go here, but we don't seemingly want to go any place and get out of our comfort zone. We go to a place where everyone's like us, where everyone feels the same way as us, as you touched on earlier. But when you make people want to invite others and want to be integrated and want to have this involvement, sort of like you have with all of us and I have in my own personal life, then you'll see that change begin to come. You have to make it seem like people want to do it, and as of right now, it seems like they don't, and they have many options to go off of, and so they'll find the option that fits them.
So what you said there is do people truly not want to experience other people and different ideas and cultures and different even economic stratas, or they don't know how to, or they're afraid to?
I think with the factors, it's a little bit of all of them. You want to be some place where you fit in. And if that place that you fit in is where everyone looks like you, that's where you'll go. As soon as you have someone break that feeling or that comfort level, then it becomes the norm. You know, when we broke the color barrier with schools, it became the norm. You know, when things kind of broke in, artists broke in, you know, different things got broken down, all those barriers came down, then it became the norm. I don't know if we've made that the norm yet. There's a few churches that do it well, but until it's all of us, it's not a norm yet. And when it's not a norm, then you're going to go to wherever it fits you and wherever you're comfortable at. And until we get to that point where being comfortable is with an integrated area, it won't become a norm.
Right. But wouldn't it make sense then that some of us as leaders in the community, and especially in the organizations that we lead or are a part of, that we need to take some initiatives. We need to sort of set the pace and get out of our comfort zone and maybe take a few of our folks with us, and that it breaks through some of that. I think everybody kind of sits back and waits for somebody else to do something, and it's probably our job to do something and not just sort of sit back.
Lead by example.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to lead by example. We need to, you know, take our people by the hand, if you will, and they need to see us sit down, break bread with other people, you know, of other faiths or different colors or different ethnicities, and see us genuinely love them, genuinely connect with them, not tolerate them.
Well, and I think certainly that is a key thing, you know, to really get to know people and enjoy being with them and model that and be examples of that. And truthfully, that's not a really difficult thing. I mean, I can go and hang out with my friend Tim, and that's not a hard thing in any kind of way. But that does need to be modeled. And then I think the next step is that you're not just hanging out with somebody as a friend, but maybe you're doing something important together.
Yeah.
I think serving the community and serving people in need together, that if we get to the point where all of us, no matter what our skin colors are or what our denominational backgrounds are or even what our religion is, choose to make a difference in our community together, I think that's a powerful statement.
Yes.
Okay, so how do we take the next steps? Is it just something that we each individually do, or is there a way to sort of move the community a little bit?
I think it's both. Individually, we have to have a strategy and a plan to reach out, and I think collectively we need to come together and begin to strategically do some things that pull the society together, or definitely pull our congregations out of their comfort zones and cause them to connect in various things so that we can reach. Maybe it's for a common cause. If we come together to touch a place that's hurting or people that just need a little bit of boost. If we do that, then intentionally they begin to see that there are people of every color. I looked at one of our outreaches and we had people come from out of town to look at them, and they were amazed of the multiplicity of cultures that were in line. And that's an awesome thing.
That is great. I don't understand what the word multiplicity is. That's too many syllables for me. But I've been to some of your outreaches, and you guys do a great job of that, and our community leaders in really caring for people that are underprivileged and things that are going on in their lives. And so you guys do a great job of that. Keep up that good work. And I think as we find more and more ways to bring diverse groups and leaders together to serve together for the common good, I think there's real power in that. Other thoughts about how we sort of advance that?
I think it does have to be modeled. In a sense, that's what a university does. You have faculty who model behavior for students, and you have some experiences students can have, whether it's work study or other types of experience, so they can practice what has been modeled to them before they graduate and then go out into the world and really practice. I think it'd be helpful if churches similar to universities might think about more of that mission orientation. For CTU, it's career. That's the point.
Right.
To help students get to a career so they can make a difference in their own lives, in their families' lives, and really for generations to come. It'd be helpful if all of us were just that mission focused.
Right. And I think that's great that the model aspect of that, I mean, we should all be smart enough to just sort of understand it from theory, but something about seeing somebody actually doing that. And again, I think the faith community, it's time for us to step up and choose to be those models. A few years ago, it was kind of popular with athletes where they're saying, I don't want to be a role model, I'm not a role model. Well, somebody needs to step up and say, this not only ought to be, but let's get about doing it. Let's figure that out in some sort of way.
Whether you're you want to be a role model or not, you need to come to the revelation that somebody's always watching.
Right.
And some of the most beautiful things are seen when you think nobody else is watching.
Exactly.
And conversely, some of the most ugly things are seen.
That's right.
So we just have to always want to not only be an example, but an ensample.
Right. Great. One of the things that we haven't talked about specifically that I am really passionate about and that I think is one of the ways that I want to personally get involved in focusing on Dr. King's dream is to do things with kids. I chose some time ago to become a mentor in one of the Aurora's great mentoring programs. And it seems like, I mean, that's a simple thing, but something that everybody can do is to invest in the life of a young person, especially a young person at risk, with some things just not going right in their life, to be a friend and to be a role model, to do those sort of things. I think that can be an important thing. It's something I keep pushing to others and kind of pushing other people to do, is to become a mentor. Spend some time with somebody, maybe who looks different than you are, from a different part of town, and also somebody that you can invest in.
Yeah.
And where you can make a difference one person at a time.
Yes.
And let them know that somebody cares. And again, if we can kind of do that together, I think that would be a great legacy, a great thing for the faith community and all people, to really invest in that kind of way. So we just got a couple minutes left. Any last comments that you want to make, Donald, before we sign off here?
Honestly, I just believe that because so many people love kids and will get behind them. I think if just from my level, if I can just get all of my kids to do it, I think they could be an example to their parents and to their communities. So just starting from wherever it is that you are to be that example and get others to be that example, it'd be great.
So start. Wherever you're at, start. Miriam?
I kind of piggyback on that. I start exactly where I'm at. I do not look Latina, and so I will interact with Latinos here and speak the Spanish and get together with them and just interact.
Right.
And so that's an open door. And then in the African American community or wherever else I'm at, I start talking about my background and some of those things, kind of break some of those barriers of the stereotypes of who should look like what and what have you. And I'm a natural at it. I feel very comfortable doing it. So I do that, and I work with the children as well at Hinckley and Murphy Creek, and get a chance to interact with the kids about those things.
That's great. That's great. Well, I think all of us need to understand that it is our responsibility to take initiative to start and do something. And I am proud of you guys as my friends, as people that don't just talk about the dream and talk about things, but to do things. And I would encourage you to keep on being that kind of an example, and that all of us, maybe we need to hold ourselves accountable and call each other up every once in a while and say, you know, what are you doing today? You know, get outside of your box, do something, be an example, be a role model, and encourage other people that are around us in our organizations to do that too. So thank you for being a part of this tonight. And let me encourage all of you that have been watching this tonight to do something, get involved, be an example, make a difference in your community, so we can focus on Dr. King's dream and see it become realized just a bit more. Thanks for watching tonight.